Okay, well, thanks for joining us. We'll let others in as they come in. Why don't we just, before we get to the agenda items, just around the group that are on at the moment, any export issues that we're particularly finding? We've got a speaker from UL coming up, but are there any particular issues that as the FEA we may need to address? Any general comment?
Not really, I don't think.
No? Okay.
Ah, yeah, for me, I think we discussed this before. We're still going round in circles re Sabah in Saudi Arabia.
Yep, okay.
I think it was TUV, and they've been pretty. I think they're all as hopeless as each other. And we're battering our heads against a bit of a brick wall at the minute.
What's the key problem, Robert? Is it getting the information?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
We've supplied all the information that we can, but even in the, just to get an idea of what it might cost. There's different issues between gas and electric as well.
Yeah.
And we hear from other suppliers in Germany and Italy and Spain in particular. They're moving things through a bit more quickly than we're still at base camp, as it were.
Okay. I had a conversation with XDS on Monday, and we're going to see if we can set up a webinar with them in the next week or so, or maybe the next couple of weeks, to explain what's going on. The contact there seemed to know it inside out. I know XDS are looking to sell a service as a result of this, but they were saying the costs are £170 per application, and if it gets kicked back, you have to pay the £170 again until you get it right. And obviously, as an intermediary, they are undertaking the processing of paperwork as required. I dug around and only found an Arabic document that related to what the particular requirements were for our equipment, if you like. So I was going to try and get them on to perhaps help fill some information gaps if that works. But
we did that. That's interesting. We did actually contact them. They contacted us as well, and they were actually more knowledgeable and helpful than TUV. As you say, they are. For me, they're an agent.
Yeah, they are.
If they've then got to go year into tech, they'll face the same problems as us. I don't know if they have direct access to Sabah or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Robert, we've been over at Lincat and IMC. We've been okay with some of the electrical items being supplied on Sabre. So we now have the charts and complete the documentation, but it depends upon how the product is coded.
Yeah.
So things like refrigeration now, it's frustrating for me because the company that got involved to try and give the codes for them classified it wrong, and they can't go backwards. So there are some other suppliers from the UK with fridges that can supply without Sabre, because if it's not classed as a fridge and you have things as bottle coolers, it depends on how it's classified. But we're struggling with gas, Keith. So for gas appliances, it's not £175. It's probably about 10 to 15,000 per category. It's very expensive. So
we'll have to get it through Intertech, isn't it? And all the testing.
That's the testing fee, not the application fee, though, presumably.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and the frustrating bit is obviously the FCSI and the consultants at the moment. You've got Neom City and all of these big places. I mean, they're 3 or 4 times bigger than Dubai, the new cities they're building over there at the moment. So trying to get equipment specified other than sort of what I class as tabletop non-domestic electric is very difficult.
Right. Okay. Sorry, it's Paul, isn't it? Not, I beg pardon, Paul.
That's okay.
Yeah. No, that's okay. All right. Well, we'll dig around a bit deeper. Do we think a call or a webinar with XDS would be useful just on Sabre? Would it help? Or okay.
I think so.
Could you perhaps all send me an email with your codes on? Because then what I'll do is pass that on to XDS, because then they can look at perhaps the specific elements that relate to the codes. As far as the testing costs are concerned, I think this is a problem of test houses, isn't it? And I don't know whether there's any mutuality between who might be using, locally in the UK or within Europe and within Saudi. is it only Intertek that can do the testing?
In fact, UL can do also. Huh?
Sorry, who is that?
Yeah, Frank Rove speaking from UL.
Hi, Frank. Will you be...
Yeah, we can do that for sure. And
okay.
I mean, the price, the numbers I've heard are, let's say, very generous, and the delta will be given as a donation, I guess. No, I mean, it's kind of expensive, the numbers I've heard.
Okay.
So I will be very happy entering into contact with the manufacturer willing to export electrical and gas appliances to Saudi Arabia, because we can do.
Well, thank you for that, Frank. And we can provide those links, and that's probably a useful intro if we can. Perhaps to your presentation, I think it makes sense for us to perhaps pick up on that, and for you to run through how UL can help in the context of providing a service or support, so that our members can consider that. Because I think one of the things we all observe with what's going on is that the checks and balances that are being put on borders are actually making it more difficult to move product around, and so there is certainly the need for defined information around that. And so it would be good to hear about your services. So I'm grateful to Jocelyn for liaising with you and picking up on this, and thank you to you, Frank, and also to Ferranti for your time today. Can I hand the screen over to you, perhaps, to go through your presentation, Frank, if that's good for you?
If I just know how to do to share my screen.
Okay. I'll fill while you're doing that. Don't worry.
Frank, I made you a co-host, so you need to. There's a green button at the bottom. So I'll stop sharing, and so that you can share. Okay.
Very good.
That's working.
In fact, I'm not sure. No, it's not the one I wanted to share.
So really just to introduce Frank and UL, UL are associate members of the FEA, and delighted to have them on board to assist us with the development of services to help our exporting community. I will also add, we've had discussions with Frank and the UL team at our European level as well, through FSEM, the European Federation of Catering Equipment Manufacturers. We're looking at opportunities there in terms of services that we can provide to help try and provide some clarity, and hopefully as a result of that clarity, save time and perhaps cost in terms of moving products across borders and getting access to new markets and developing markets. Because I know certainly from a UK perspective, with the challenges that we face at the end of the transition period, and yes, we don't know what the future is going to look like or what the tariff barriers will be, we're certainly keen to represent the case to the Department for International Trade and also to BEIS to try and resolve some of the issues of product movement. But Frank and his team are very focused on the services to exporters. So Frank and Dory, if I can hand over to both of you and ask you to run through your presentation. Thank you very much.
So please tell me if you see my screen, because it's first time I'm using Zoom.
Yes,
we're there.
See that. Yeah.
Okay. Full screen should be now. So thank you very much for the introduction, Warren, and thank you for giving me the possibility to present. In fact, it's let's say very nice that we were just talking about gas product for Saudi Arabia, because just 10 days ago we made a webinar on the GMA access for gas appliances. And in this term, GMA, we made a webinar divided in 3 parts: access to North American market, access to Europe, and access to the rest of the world. And for sure, if we look at the statistics, the all the Gulf is one of the major regions for export of gas cooking appliances, professional gas cooking appliances. And for sure, UL can do that. We have very good contacts with the local authorities, and since something like 2 years now, we can test product, we can certify product for nearly all the Gulf region. So we can do that for gas and also for electric, for sure, for electrical product. We cannot do that only for this region, but we can do that for many parts of the world. And that's the focus of this presentation of today. So I will continue to make the first slide, to present the first slide, and then I will give the words to Dori Ferrante. Dori is exactly one of our GMA experts, GMA meaning Global Market Access. And for UL, Global Market Access is basically everything which is outside North America and by extension outside Europe for us. So that's not only the Persian Gulf, but that's basically Asia, Latin America, South America, Africa, Russia, Ukraine. And Dori, who is a specialist for, let's say, the GMA part, will present what are the main requirements for those regions. So, and if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. I will start with two very simple slides. The first slide is what are the kind of services UL can support for your industry. And for sure, we are known for the North American market. We are known for certifying products, but we can do testing alone. We can, for sure, we do the inspection. We can do certification for end product, but also for components, controls. We have different acceptance program, and as you can see, CTF is the IEC part and EAP is the North American part. We can do CTF, we have CBTL under UL, or we have our own labs, which are CTF, so we can do, and we can also work with the companies making their labs CTF. Energy efficiency, for sure, we can do, and that's very relevant at the moment for the commercial refrigeration, because next year, in March next year, there will be new requirements for the commercial refrigerations, and for sure, UL can do. I mean, we have been preparing ourselves, helping our customers since more than a year now. And we have some test capabilities in Europe to help for the coming legislations on energy efficiency for commercial refrigerations. We can do for household and nearly all type of professional appliances. We can also do sanitations. And sanitation in this case is mostly the NSF standards. So, and I will show afterwards on the slide after, which are the kind of standards we can help you with, and the kind of testing we can help you with, and testing in Europe. We can for sure do much more in the US, but we also can do in Europe, because one of our mission is to help our customers, and one of the best way to help them is to make sure that we can optimize the testing and the transport cost. Advisory and education is a big part, not only on the existing standard or the coming changes of the standards for North America and for the Europe and the IEC standards, where we can explain our customer what's coming and help them preparing. But we are, let's say, quite well equipped with EMC testing and EMC wireless, and we can also do some training there. Global market access, we talked about it, and Dori will go further on. For sure, we can do about different kind of compliances, and for sure all the UL program, because that's our core and that's our company. We can make some auditing if needed for some specific parts. Even if it's not inside our division, we can provide services from other UL division, like the management quality system, like the environment. We have, let's say, the carbon footprints we can measure. There's many things that we can do. And last but not least, we have also some validation activities or verification activities. We have something which is called the marketing claim verification. For example, we have a very good program on hygiene, and that we have been developing for commercial appliances, but mostly for commercial dishwashers. And we are measuring the reduction of bacterial load, including the A0 we can test also. And we can test with our own program, we can test about with, let's say, custom-made program. Okay, so that's basically the set of testing we can perform for you, with you, and the type of certification of we can do. So when I look at the professional and commercial appliances, and I listed some of them, but as you can see, refrigeration for sure, cooking, not only for electrical ovens, but also gas products, food preparing machines, dishwashers, washing machine, we can test and we can certify, not only based on the EN or IEC standards, but also on the UL standard for sure, on the CSS standard when needed. And we can basically support also with all the sanitation part for North America. We can also do performance testing. Here we do only one because performance is for the time being not so much requested for professional and commercial appliances, but it's coming, and we know in Europe it will be more and more demanding for the products in terms of energy efficiency. Okay, any questions? Hello? Okay, I take that as a no. Feedback?
No, that's fine.
That's all fine, Frank. Should we to make it easier, perhaps take any questions at the end, or if anybody's got anything they would like us to ask on their behalf, perhaps put that in through the chat function, and we'll pick up on that at the end. Please carry on, Frank. Thank you.
And now I will give the words to Dori. She will first explain what is GMA. She will present our teams, and she will present the different requirements by regions. Dori.
Thanks for introducing me, Frank. As Frank said, my name is Dori Ferrante. I joined UL in 2016 as a GMA program leader for European region. So I have been working with all the European customer since 2016. And last year in 2019, I started leading the GMA global team for the global market access, and specifically for the segment of the project engine. So as we already said, and as Frank explained, GMA stands for Global Market Access. Within UL, what we mean with that, we mean the access to international markets, everything that is not basically North America, so Canada, US, and also Europe. These also mean that we have a network of experts worldwide working specifically in the segments of coordination and information with local authorities, and with all the other certification body we have outside of Europe also. As you can see in this slide, this is actually part of the team. We are much more actually, but these are the main contacts we have specifically for European region. The people that are located in Europe are me, Federico, Ilenia, Mariam, Matteo, and Alberto. All of them are like focused on European customer, and specifically each of us, this is how we structure the team. each of us has an area and the knowledge and expertise in certain regions, let's say. So I am still in charge of all Latin America, although I lead this team, but still I am in charge of Latin America countries. So when you have questions related to one of them, so Mexico, Brazil, and so forth, I am the contact person. Then we have Federico, which has a focus on well, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Russia, and all the custom union countries. So here we mean Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, and so forth. Then we have Ilenia. Her focus is on European markets. Mariam, which focus is Middle East markets and Africa, excluding Saudi, although she is also starting to have a growing knowledge in the Saudi field, because of course, as you can guess, the demand for Saudi Arabia it's very high. Then we have Matteo. His area of focus is the Asia Pacific markets, and specifically here we mean China, Korea, so the Far East especially. And then we have Alberto. His area of focus are like Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, but he is also focused in all the activity we carry out within the GMA research field and all the advisory portion. We have also added all our contacts outside of Europe. So as you can guess, I'm not going through one by one because it's less relevant for European customer just because of that. But as you can see, we have the local contacts in all the main relevant countries. So Greater China, first of all, where Anna is leading the local team. Jane and Suni in Korea, Kung Pop in Thailand, Chen Hao in Singapore, then Daniela in Mexico City, and Ryan in the USA. Next slide, please.
Just one thing, Laurie, I just wanted to add, UL just was, since sometimes, test office for gas product in Singapore, and we are just becoming the certification office also, which means if you are selling gas products to Singapore, we can do the full certification process.
Just one thing, Frank. Like we are a certification office already, and the testing lab is not in Singapore; is in Milano Carugate.
Yeah, we can test. We test in Europe.
Yes, we test in Europe everything. So we are expanding. It was an effort started already a couple of years ago. We have a very huge focus in expanding the gas capability of the lab also for international testing and certification, yes. So we thought, okay, let's show in a quite simple way, because many might say that GMA is a complex topic, which I don't deny. It is not straightforward. I agree on that. But we thought we can show which are the main services we offer through GMA, and have this done through the areas, the countries, and the marks of interest. So as you can see over here, we have a strong capability for Australia market access. And specifically in this case, I am referring to the Australia RCM mark and certificate of conformity and approval for electrical safety. Then our laboratories are full recognized for the energy efficiency portion. And as we were mentioning before, we also have capability for the gas portion. In this case, we work through a partner certification office in Australia, which is Global Mark. But the interesting point is about the fact that we don't ask to send samples to Australia. Full testing is done in Europe. Then for China, we have a partnership with the CQC itself, which is the national certification body in China. And so we actively cooperate with them for the electrical, gas, and EMC portion. And also from CTEC side, so for radio requirements and so forth, for the SRRC regulation and type approval certificate. And also for the energy label. And still with CQC, we have the option of voluntary mark. This is also something interesting that we have added within the portfolio, the voluntary marks, because we have the agreements and capabilities also to proceed in that direction. We know very well that in some countries, maybe you don't have the obligation to have a certification. Maybe there are not compulsory requirements, let's say. But let's say in some countries, at least, to have a voluntary certification is definitely a good idea. China is one of those countries because we have a really accurate custom check, and most often when the product is not covered by a certification, several issues might occur. Other than that, still in the Asia Pacific area, we have Korea with the KC mark for safety and EMC, energy efficiency too, and the standby mode. Here is still an interesting approach for Korea. We have a mutual recognition agreement with all the Korean entities. And so again, we keep the same approach. That's always our approach. We test let's say our agreement allow us to test products in Carugate, so in Milan, and have everything already approved without sending samples for in-country testing. Then everything just turned into a matter of having the right documentation available to issue the test report. And then we have Japan with the PSC diamond circle and radio type approval marks. Next one, please. Then, as we were mentioning before, we have all these additional services in Asia Pacific. So the first one is for Singapore. And for Singapore, as we said, we have the certification office located in Singapore is a UL certification office. And so we issue directly certificate having acceptance of CB report or gas test report. And then also radio approval and energy efficiency portion. In India, for the BIS CRS mark, we have our own laboratory, so UL Gurgaon, which is mainly focused on electrical safety testing, so they can provide a straightforward testing services. And then again, another UL lab, deeply important in the Asian markets, is the one for Thailand. And then we have the BSMI scheme for Taiwan, but in this case we work through a partnership with BSMI, which is the local Taiwanese entity issuing certificate and acting as testing laboratory. Next one. Okay, we move into the Middle East area. Well, of course, we are accredited by the GSO as notified body for the G mark for the Gulf countries. Of course, you know that the Gulf countries are an economic union between the main countries in the Middle East, specifically Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Oman, Yemen, and Qatar. So is a mark applicable to all these countries. We have to say that most of commercial appliances are not included yet in the scope of certification. So this means this mark has not been implemented yet for commercial appliances. It's just for household appliances at this moment. And then we have something that I have already heard before along your discussion, something interesting for you, which is Saudi Arabia. Basically, we have the full service portfolio for Saudi Arabia. And so we are talking in this case of the SASO quality mark for gas products, among which commercial appliances, SASO IC recognition certificate, SABER system, CITC, and energy efficiency label as well. And it's basically the same for United Arab Emirates, a full capability through our laboratories for electrical safety, energy efficiency, and gas, and also for ROS. And another interesting point also here, we are working directly with UL Dubai, who has a certification office. Then we have 3 countries in the Middle East, which they still have their own scheme. So, for instance, Kuwait and Israel. Something that I want to draw is, again, and it's important to understand also the way we work, let's say. With Israel, we are in partnership with the SII, so the Standard Institute of Israel, and we have agreement. So again, they accept fully our reports. For Kuwait, instead, we have a special case, and this also give you a glance of how we can support. We work in partnership in this case with Bureau Veritas. So we are not handling directly the procedures, but we have agreements with them, and so they act on our behalf in this case. So this is also to say, even when we don't have a dedicated accreditation to a certain scheme or countries, we are often able to support through our partners. So let's say, in a way or another, we have the path to obtain the certificate. Next one, please. Okay, and then we have all the Eurasia schemes. So we have basically the series of voluntary marks in European countries. So UL EU, D mark, ENAC, and ENAC Plus, which is in this case not applicable for your products, but still D mark and UL EU are definitely an added value to a product certification for European market. And then we have, of course, EAC, so the custom union, as I was mentioning before. So Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Armenia. And in this case, again, we don't have a certification office in Russia, but we have a list of partners, and we mean then laboratory and certification office that can support to issue the EAC mark. Next one. Okay, and then we move to Latin America. In Latin America, something deeply interesting of UL is that we have almost in all of these countries that you see over here, so Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, and so forth, we have our own laboratory or at least a certification office, which is, let's say, a huge advantage for European customer, because of course we also in this case we have a facilitated procedure in those markets, which are, I have to say, not really straightforward, and so we have dedicated process path to make this market as simple. And just to mention, we have We have, for instance, for Mexico, we have the NOM mark. Again, also here, for most of the products, not all of them, but most of them, basically we have recognition agreement with ANSE and the DGN, so local regulator in Mexico for the safety gas perspective. We have agreements with them, and these allow us to have the testing fully done in Carugate, but not only, in all UL laboratories worldwide. And through our certification office, basically we can issue the certificate also straight in Mexico City. And so, I mean, it's a very facilitated path. And a news that I received just a couple of days ago, and we are, I mean, working to make it operational right now, is that there is an additional MRA, just signed this one, and is for energy efficiency in Mexico. So, so we have a new agreement that allows us to test samples outside of Mexico City, which is of course a great news for us. And then we have Argentina, again, agreement with the local authorities, and so acceptance of ULCB. And the same for Brazil and Imitro, because basically we have a laboratory in Porto Alegre in Brazil, but still we can test in Carugate and then having the acceptance of our test report. Next one. And then we have all the new, these are very recent, energy efficiency regulation, just implemented. Well, they have been implemented last year, yes, last year, 2019. And so we have testing capability and also certification office accredited to release all the new energy efficiency regulation and certification, which is again a huge advantage compared to several competitors, because let's say Latin America countries are always quite tricky, I would say. Next one. And then, besides the release of a test report according to local regulation and a certification according to local regulation, we keep a huge focus on research and advisory activities. What does it mean? Is normally an activity that the purpose is to provide to customer an overview of the market's requirements and have a clear understanding of all the applicable regulation and standard depending on the country, on the certification scheme, and share with the customer a preview of which are the next step in order to gain a certification. It's also a very good solution when you need to, how to say, adapt the products according to market requirement. Just to give an example, even sometimes just rating and voltage are something, you know, deeply impacting the product and also the certification path and testing method it will follow. So of course, I cannot have, most probably, I mean, then everything is possible, of course, but if a product must end into Saudi market, it will be tested at 220 voltage and 60 hertz. It's hard to move the same product from Saudi Arabia and have it in compliance, let's say for NOM, for Mexico, where I have the voltage acceptable is 115 voltage and 60 hertz. So, I mean, having all this information in advance really help a manufacturer to do good choices when it's time for market access and when it's time to obtain GMA certification. I did this example with the voltage and frequency, but I mean, even in a very basic way, let's say also a plug, there are certain requirements to fulfill, right? And, you know, having this information in advance is definitely something useful for you when you are basically adapting a product to a certain market. Next one, please. And then, other than the advisory we do by ourselves, which is deeply customized, we also have ULGo resources. ULGo is a platform within UL and is also a service we use. Basically, you can find in ULGo, so with a subscription in ULGo, all the products, countries, and the regulation. And is normally populated by UL GMA expert. And it's a platform that also gives you news and update of what is changing on the market. Frank, do you want to show the video, or do we have, I think maybe, I don't know if we have enough time, because I see we just have 15 minutes for question and answer. I would suggest we will send you in any case this presentation.
And
so
then we will send the link anyway.
Right, that's why. So I would suggest to save this 15 minutes for question and answer.
Yes, that'd be great, Dory. If we can send the video and send the link later. And
right, right. Let's do so.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Now, just before, I want to say, sorry, Dory, I just realized that in the presentation on Saudi Arabia, we did not mention the SASO quality mark for gas appliances, and that's one of the service we can support our customer with.
Yeah, I mentioned that. No, there is the marking. I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen, but not in the text. It's written on electric. No problem. So, any questions?
Just while we ask anybody to put their hands up, Jocelyn, if you could keep an eye on that. I've had a question here. In terms of marketing validation, Frank, could you explain for us what that entails, what's included, and perhaps some indication of what the costs might be, please?
For the cost, it's rather difficult, but I will explain what we have made. First of all, marketing claim verification. It's a UL service where we verify what your marketing department are saying. For example, if you claim that one of your products is able to reach a given temperature at a given time, and stays there for a period, then we will measure that, and we will provide you with the mark, including the claim that you can put on the product and on your communications, online or printed, and that you can basically, that you have used a third-party lab to verify your marketing claim. One of the examples that we have made lately is that we have been measuring for a professional appliance manufacturer. We have been measuring how much bacteria were left after a wash cycle, and basically what we have verified that that's the appliance were able to reach a log 5 reduction, which means 99.999% of the bacteria load. So, and that's the kind of things that we have. We have a few standard program, or let's say standard existing program, and we can also create a custom specific program depending on the claims you want to let's say communicate on the market.
Okay. Thank you for that, Frank. Can I just ask on that work you've done on dishwashers? What test criteria did you use for that?
Basically, we were combining two things: the 15883 for the R0 condition that we have been verifying, and then we have been using extract from the DIN norm for measuring the load bacteria, and we have together with the manufacturer, we have defined a bacteria which was resisting to heat temperature, and we have been testing that. The slight difficulty is that in order to perform this test, we needed to have biomedical laboratory level 2, which is something that we have in Europe, that UL has internally, not in our division, but we are able in other division to find this kind of very specific resources.
Okay, lovely. Thank you for that.
In the medical division and in the retail division.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If you'd like to raise your hand, and we'll invite you in to raise a question.
Me again.
Go for it, Robert.
Oh yeah, but it's the same topic, I'm afraid, with Saber. So I think on the slide, the person responsible for Saudi is Federico. Is that right?
Yeah, Federico is in my team, but you can easily contact me, and I can readdress to the right stakeholder in the team.
So how does that work? We're a UK manufacturer. You're based in Italy.
Yeah.
And the testing has to be. You have a team in the UK as well?
No, we don't. We are all located in Milan for Europe, but from here we are covering all the basically all the European customers. So you can address the request to me, and I can forward it to the right person.
Let's complete the answer, Dori.
Yes.
How UL is organized? UL in our division, in the appliance division, we are organized in a kind of 3 different layers. The first layer is what Doris says, is that we have some competence centers, and for our GMA team for Europe, for European customer, exactly as Doris presented, or let's say during the presentation, is based in Italy, and under the responsibility of Dori, there's a team of people helping manufacturer to identify the proper requirements and the right approach to attack different markets in the world. We have also 2 test labs in Europe. One, and the major one, which is in Italy, close to Milano, and it's a very large one, and we're able there to test nearly everything which is requested for the commercial and professional appliances, for gas, for electric product, for sanitations, for EMC. Let's say we're able to do a lot of things. Then there's another lab in Germany, where we test some electrical appliances. And then the last level, it's where we place the engineers. And we have some engineers for sure in Italy, for sure in Germany, but also in the UK and also in France, in different countries where we have engineers. In fact, these engineers are specialized, and they are not able to answer all the questions, to handle all the projects. But if there's, for example, on refrigeration, we have one engineer in the UK able to support our customers for some products.
So where do we start?
I guess if you have a request, we will put the Martin, which is the sales guy, and Dori in front of you, and you will be able to put your problem on the table, and then they will give you the answer.
Just to start somehow, which is the product?
Commercial cooking, commercial refrigeration products.
Okay, then we will have, okay. Yes, because we have a lot of different requirements we need to cover. From one side, gas, so SAS quality mark. On the other side, we have the commercial refrigerators, which has, I would say, it's quite a simplified it doesn't have all of the requirement of gas domestic cooking appliances, but okay. Yeah.
The commercial is obviously different to the domestic. Can I make a suggestion, Keith, Jocelyn, if it's interesting to other people? You said we can have a webinar with XDS. Could we have one with UL specific to our?
Absolutely.
Because that would include combis, dishwashing, obviously everything.
We organize normally a webinar. It's very important to define a certain area and define very precisely the level of details we want to reach. Depending on that, we can involve, let's say, we can have just the GMA topic. Okay, so what we do after that as the report is issued. So all the procedure to obtain the certification. While if we want to start, okay, what does the Saudi standard say? Then we can have something in conjunction also with the engineering from the gas portion and also for the electrical one. So it's a sort of combination of technical and administrative training in that case. But yes, we do. We normally do that. I did the webinar and the training basically for all the countries in the world. So, and we know exactly, I mean, I know that we can involve right person also among the engineering team, depending on the requirements we want to cover. Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
Well, we'll do that. If we can record it as an action, then please, Jocelyn. And thank you, Dory and Frank, for that. Let's start off at this point with UL, really to build on today. Perhaps we can set that up for perhaps 10 days' time. Would that work, do you think?
Well, honestly, I don't think we are like quite busy, I have to say. So normally I have to ask some more days to have that done, because it's something that normally takes quite a time, because we always do that customized then on specific products. So we will, in case we go ahead, I will also ask you to do a lot of pre-work, I would say. So saying exactly which products we want to cover, how many markets. We can do that with a focus on one market, or cover with like 6-7 markets, or as we wish. We can have the appropriate approach depending on what we want to do.
Robert, was it specifically on Saudi that you were asking there?
Yeah, I'm being selfish. Yeah, absolutely the only one.
Okay.
Or in Saudi then.
Okay, let's have a speak. It will be important that you describe your need, and then we'll describe the best way to answer it.
Okay.
Because maybe the webinar is not the proper format.
No.
Maybe let's just one or two manufacturers interested. Let's make a call.
Okay. Well, let's open up the links directly with you, Frank, and with you, Dory, for companies to come back so you can answer those specific needs. I think that's probably the most appropriate, and it'll give both sides probably the level of direct interaction that's needed. So, Jocelyn, if we could circulate the details after this meeting. I will have to apologise because I do need to drop out for another meeting, I'm afraid, at 3 o'clock, but I'll ask Jocelyn to take over and run through. What are any other questions from the group on at the moment that we'd like Frank or Dory to answer, please?
Go ahead, Nigel.
I would be very interested, Robert, as well in Saudi and advice on Saudi for refrigeration and the different and developing changes, because they are now building, as you said, Frank, a lot of facilities there. So if there was something on Saudi, I'd be very interested. So that was. Now my question is, there is a developing, let me call it a certification from the US using NSF as a base, which is called almost an NSF light, that some of the big chains are beginning to say, we want you to be certified to this NSF external categorization. And of course, we're saying we've got CE, but they're saying, no, you need to consider NSF. Are you aware of that, Frank and Dory?
For North America, NSF is the standard for sanitation, and UL for electrical safety, and most of the gas safety standard are the CSA. Basically, we can from Europe make most of the certification for electrical safety, gas safety, and sanitation for commercial and professional appliances, destination North America. So we can do that from Europe and help you with that.
Yeah, sorry, Frank, I know that we have those for America. the question is, there is something being adopted, driven by NSF, for chains out of America to have an approval standard in other countries like Europe. And it's called NSF Light or something like that. Are you aware of that?
No, I will investigate, but NSF makes also, is also like a little bit like a UL. That means in one side they make the standards, in the other one they make some certifications. So if it is a program for helping manufacturer to export from the US, then it's one thing. I will have a look. The NSF.
I think it's intended to try and protect the chains with their American thinking to say we want an NSF equivalent in other countries. And I just wondered whether you were aware of it and were testing to that standard.
No, I will have a look and then talk to my American colleagues and come back to you. I will come back to you on that. Thank you.
But one other question, do you have any plans to have a CB testing capability in the UK or only in Germany and Milan?
Do you mean to have a test lab in the UK?
Test lab with CB accreditation.
Well, let's say I really believe that will depend on, the deal, no deal exit, right? Because basically there is a lot going on also because of the UK CA, right? So we are dealing at this moment that there is a sort of uncertainty. There are scenarios, right? We don't have concrete information about what is going to happen after the Brexit, basically. So there are considerations internally in that direction, but we are basically waiting for certain indications, let's say.
Okay.
It's a moment of instability, of course. That's
No, I recognize that. We've done CB testing with you in Milan, or in Italy, but it would be helpful to be able to do it in the UK.
Yeah. Well, again, we have, as Frank said, we have the laboratory in Germany also, which is maybe, it depends. There are a lot of considerations going on also because of the Brexit. So,
okay.
But at the moment, no, we don't, let's say.
Yeah, as Doris says, the Brexit may impact also our industry and how UL is organized. On the other side, in the coming weeks and months, we will not open a lab for appliances in the UK. After that, I mean, next year it's another year, because we already have some labs in the UK, but not related to your industry. That's the point. Should we expand or not? That's the discussion we have. Okay. Other questions? Because I will also have to leave now for another meeting.
Of course, yes. If that's okay with you, Dori and Frank, I will distribute your email addresses to the group. Would that be all right?
Very good.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to you.
Guys, well done.
Thank you,
you guys.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Thank you. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, we still have people here, or are we finished?
Are they all gone?
Yeah, some people have just left. Well, we can say basically the things on the agenda are self-explanatory regarding the overseas exhibitions and the TAP grants. There was going to be a roundtable discussion, but seeing as we've lost a few members, we can table that for the next meeting. We are likely to have a meeting in a few weeks. I am trying to get another meeting together in a few weeks with another speaker.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, at the minute, Jocelyn, who knows what's going to happen to any of these shows? I mean, I don't think any of us is really planning that long term.
We're planning gung ho for Golf House. We are. They're so far we're going. So we'll see what happens. But we've got a UK pavilion at Golf House, and we're giving it a go. So for
same time as Golf Food, isn't it?
it is, yes.
Are you still looking at that? Wow.
Yep, we'll have a UK pavilion there.
Okay. So they've not postponed it yet, obviously.
No, it was due to be in November. Sorry, November. It's supposed to be next week.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But we postponed it to February. So yeah, everything's going forward for the February dates.
Really? Wow. Okay. Interesting.
So, and then I'm working on the XDS to get them to present at the next meeting for you, Robert.
Perfect. Yeah, I know I hogged it a bit there, but we are getting